utabeba taka. Nawe tena hana hamu.
Mambo ya waki tulipinga hapo mbeleni na Mungu ametusaidia, imeanguka bunge. Kesi yote ambayo inataka ifanyike ipelekwe huko Hague. Hatutaki mambo itengeneze hapa eti tunakuja kutengeneza mahakama sijui Eldoret, sijui Nakuru, sijui Kisumu. Sisi tunataka kusema mahakama ifanyike kule Hague. Wale wenye makosa kama wako ndani ya bahasha ama wako nje ya bahasha, wapande bodaboda ama waingie kwa basi, waende wapi? Waende Hague.
Hii tumefanya kama viongozi na kama viongozi ambao wale mlichagua. Na nyinyi wenyewe tulipotega masikio, tulipopitisha kura kuwa ni Hague, tulisikia wananchi wote walifurahi. Wananchi wote walituunga mkono. Sasa la ajabu ni kuwa bado tunasikia watu huku nyuma wanasema bado wanataka kurudisha hiyo kitu bungeni. Mimi nauliza, what is it that is happening? What is the mischief behind all this? Ni kwa nini hawataki kusikiza sauti ya wananchi through wabunge kuwa hii jambo iende wapi? Hague.
We've realized that the courts of this country are not impartial. And again, there is a lot of witch hunt that is going on among leaders. The succession politics took the center stage. And we felt that for those people who are wronged in this country, for them to get justice, then we felt like the perpetrators of violence, let them go to Hague. Now we are telling Kofi Annan that we've taken a stand as members of parliament. Then why do you want to challenge?
The Hague debate has elicited sharply divided opinion in the country's political class, but indications are that the ordinary Mwananchi, on the other hand, seems to know exactly how this issue should be handled. A sign of that opinion poll shows an overwhelming number of Kenyans want the post-election violent suspects to face the justice system in The Hague. Of those polled, 66% want Ocampo to deal with the people named in the work list, 14% want to see those people tried locally, while another 13% would rather the suspects were forgiven.
Given that the Hague option may result, even a local tribunal, but the Hague option, in a number of major public figures in Kenya either losing their jobs, having to resign, put on trial, perhaps being jailed, is that enough to guarantee stability of those who are unhappy what might happen to those people? You combine that with the local tribunal, definitely getting a higher percentage than one mentioned.
There is some good news for the Grand Coalition partners this time round. Support for the power sharing agreement has risen from the 33% posted last quarter to now stand at 44%. The media still remains the most trusted institution in the country, followed closely by the National Assembly Speaker, whose popularity was boosted by his move to quell tension over the House Business Committee leadership tussle in Parliament. The country's leadership will, however, have to work overtime to restore hope to the country's citizens who are apparently dissatisfied with their economic situation. 71% of those polled say their economic situation has worsened in the last 2 months. 17% say their situation stayed the same, while only 13% said they are better off economically compared to 3 months ago.
Of course, unlike the rest of the world, a year ago, the Kenyan economy was suffering still directly the impact of the post-election violence that affected both agriculture, affected agriculture and also tourism. Now, of course, in addition, we've got the drought on top of that.
At the same time, the government needs to work to address issues of corruption, poverty, unemployment, crime, and insecurity. These are the issues that have left the general population dissatisfied to a great extent. The poll was carried out in the last 2 weeks, and views from a total of 2,005 people were sampled. Brenda Molina, NTV Weekend Edition.
Mtu yule upigiwiwa sarenda wote kwenye timu, nenda kacheze kandimu.
Deputy Prime Minister Musalia Mudavadi's hopes of being the compromise candidate in the Jubilee coalition appears dashed as the crisis in the coalition deepens.
Musalia has revealed that Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta signed a pact to shelve his presidential ambitions in favor of him.
But as KTN Samogina reports, Uhuru says he signed the deal with Musalia under pressure and has since changed his mind.
On a day the coalition was to hold its presidential nomination contest, the main cast, Deputy Prime Ministers Uhuru Kenyatta and Musalia Mudavadi, trying to sanitize the antagony that has crippled the alliance since its formation 2 weeks ago. Mudavadi at his presidential secretariat revealed Uhuru signed a deal relinquishing his presidency to him. But Uhuru at a delegates meeting claimed he was coerced into shelving his ambition to back Mudavadi's bid.
That after consultation, he had decided to withdraw his candidature and wished to support me as the coalition candidate for president.
Shetani ambaye hata hajui kazi hiyo tulianzisha namna gani. Wanakuja wanasema sasa unajua sasa nyinyi ukienda hivyo mmejitangaza. Unajua sasa wazungu hawatatupatia pesa.
Revisiting the chronology of events on December 4th that led to the signing of the coalition pact, Mudavadi says it is Uhuru and Ruto who visited his residence with the deal proposal. They would later retreat to Uhuru's residence where they signed an agreement in the presence of Ruto and their lawyers. Mudavadi attributes the grandstanding on the picking of the coalition's presidential nominee to TNA party headliners and not Uhuru Kenyatta, something which Uhuru appeared to confirm at the delegates meeting Tuesday.
We would like to urge hardliners in our midst who wish to pursue extremely personal interests to allow the party leaders to discuss and provide the way forward.
Mimi hamu yangu haikuwa ati kiti ambacho nitakalia. Hamu yangu ni yule uongozi ambao tutakuwa nao na amani ambayo tutakuwa nayo katika taifa letu.
Despite being bashed by TNA MPs of wanting the presidency on a silver platter, Mudavadi says he's not afraid of a contest, but such a battle will be a breach of the coalition deal with Uhuru.
Mimi nitaogopa vipi kwenda kwa debe na najitayarisha kwenda kwa debe kubwa.
This is the team that is going to form the next government. And we are sure the group on the other side will form the opposition.
But Mudavadi downplayed the nomination crisis, saying they are surmountable. This as TNA delegates endorsed the former Uhuru-Ruto deal, where Uhuru is the presidential candidate and Ruto as his running mate.
We will make every effort to nurture our young coalition through the turbulent gales of mistrust and factional intrigue.
Je, ni nani ameona hiyo karatasi? Ati nyinyi mmekubali Uhuru amwachie Musalia Mudavadi?
Meanwhile, given Mudavadi's faltering, some TNA MPs are now toying with the idea of replacing Mudavadi with NARC presidential hopeful Charity Ngilu. Ngilu is expected to equally toss herself in the contest for the Jubilee coalition presidential race. The crisis resulted to shelving of the delegates meeting and the parties writing to the Register of Political Parties seeking extension of picking its presidential candidate to December 24th. In essence, Mudavadi has confirmed the deep-seated suspicion and mistrust existing in the Jubilee coalition, the underlying factor being political conmanship, where Mudavadi claims Uhuru has backtracked from the deal they both signed, this putting the already fragile marriage on the rocks. Samogina, KTN, Nairobi.
Najua nina rafiki huyu wa kweli, hakuna yule ambaye atakuja kati yetu wakati sina, wanipa nitakacho, usiti nisemacho wako sawa, waniombea Mungu. Oh, kuna watu na viatu duniani. Oh, kuna watu wasiopenda maendeleo. Oh, kiwa nacho chawauma.
And next we have Uhuru Kenyatta from TNA, which is part of the Jubilee Alliance. Let's give him a round of applause.
And the debate will focus on broad thematic areas of governance, security, and social services. Each candidate will be expected to explain their position in 2 minutes and will be given additional time for rebuttals. The rules of engagement discussed and agreed by each candidate requires them to treat and address each other with respect.
Let's all be upstanding for the national anthem. It is performed tonight by Carol Atemi.
So personally, I have no differences with the Honorable Raila. I see him as a colleague, I see him as a brother, but we may differ on how to handle some of the issues that face this country. And I think that is why we have elections, so that the people of Kenya are given an opportunity to choose between the candidates.
Honorable Odinga.
No, I basically agree totally with my brother, Uhuru Kenyatta. We have nothing personal between each one of us. In fact, we are best of friends. And you remember, if you go down the memory lane, my father spearheaded the struggle for release of Jomo Kenyatta from prison.
Let me begin by saying that tribalism is a cancer that has afflicted this country for a very long time and has been a source of conflict, has been a source of death, has been a source of destruction of property. And this you saw the worst of in the post-election violence of 2007. I personally believe that this problem is largely associated as a result of the battle for resources.
In my plan, I have looked at equality, I have looked at equity, so that never again will Kenyans feel they are not equal, never again will Kenyans feel that one side of the country is inferior to the other.
If the people of Kenya do decide to vote for me as their president, I will be able to handle the issue of clearing my name, while at the same time ensuring that the business of government continues, our manifesto and our agenda for Kenya is implemented.
I do not want to eliminate any kind of competition. That's why I would rather have my brother on the ballot. But I know that it will pose serious challenges to run a government by Skype from The Hague. I know that it's not practical.
The 6 judges made their signature trod down the hallowed white corridors of the Supreme Court, carrying with them a 2-page white paper that held together the hopes and breaths of the many who had gathered at the Supreme Court for the final verdict. And it was short and swift.
After extensive deliberations, we are happy to announce the Supreme Court has reached a unanimous decision.
Read out by Chief Justice Willy Mutunga as those present in the courtroom hang on to his every word, that after sifting through the oral arguments and the mounds of paperwork presented by the lawyers, the court had upheld the election of Uhuru Kenyatta as Kenya's 4th president. In a summary of the verdict, Mutunga said that the elections had indeed been carried out in compliance with the Constitution and were free, fair and transparent.
It is the decision of the court that the said elections were indeed conducted in compliance with the Constitution and the law. As to whether the 3rd and 4th respondents were validly elected and declared as President-elect and Deputy President-elect of the Republic of Kenya respectively by the second respondent in the presidential elections held on 4th March 2013. It is the decision of the court that the third and fourth respondents were validly elected.
In a landmark judgment, the judges said they had thrown out the petition by CORD and Africog challenging the election of Uhuru Kenyatta and seeking to have the presidential election set aside. The judges also felt that the rejected votes should not have been included in the final tally of the presidential vote. All petitions before the court were thrown out and the parties were ordered to meet their own costs of the petition.
Petition number 5 of the consolidated petitions is hereby dismissed. Petition number 4 of the consolidated petitions is hereby dismissed. As to petition number 3 of the consolidated petitions, the prayer by the petitioners seeking a declaration of recomputation of percentages by the second respondent is declined, as the court has no jurisdiction.
The 6-judge bench is expected to deliver the full verdict in 2 weeks, complete with the grounds on which they based their decision. In the meantime, the stage is set for the handover to the new leadership.
It has been 2 weeks of anxiety as Kenyans awaited the ruling of the Supreme Court, which was made in just under 5 minutes, ending the stalemate that was the outcome of the March 4th presidential vote and clearing the way for the swearing-in of Kenya's 4th president. Sheila Sindeo, NTV, in Nairobi.
This is how the Supreme Court verdict on the CORD petition was received here in Kisumu. Violent protests. And as police guns started exploding, the feedback was instant. Casualties. At least 2 people were allegedly shot and injured by police as the law enforcers battled the protesters. The angry residents had blocked the main highways linking Kisumu town to other regions by lighting bonfires. Motorists using the Kisumu-Kakamega road were stoned as they approached Kondele area, one of the places that was worst hit by the chaos. By nightfall, police had begun clearing the roads, even as gunshots could still be heard in Nyawita Estate and the sprawling slums of Obunga. Earlier, the residents who spoke to NTV had expressed anger and disappointment at the Supreme Court judgment, with some of them weeping openly. They had hoped the courts will nullify the presidential election to give way for a runoff.
Walikuwa na evidence ya kutosha. Sasa hatujui evidence akina gani walikuwa nataka ndiye wa rule hii kitu ende runoff. Because tulipeana tu example ndogo. Sasa hizo ndio tulipane kuna mdozari. Hatujui wanataka exhibit kama gani ndio watu wafanye uamuzi vizuri.
Kama walisample 22 constituency wakapata discrepancy donge. Apart donge. Sasa 290 constituency wangesample yote wangepata ngapi? Kwa video kama ni keti kilonzo tangone jamaa.
Tumepeleka tuko na evidence iko hapa hata kwa hii karatasi hii. Sasa tutafanya aje? Ndio Uhuru. Hii kitu hii mzima aone. Kenya tuko hatuna amani. Tena sina peace. Kenya sio Kenya.
Huko kusa NTV in Kisumu.
Hata huyo president asijaribu kanyaga hapa Nyasa. Asante huko.
I express my deep gratitude to all Kenyans who had turned out massively to exercise their democratic rights to vote and elect their leaders. In the petition, I express our belief that the court would uphold the letter and spirit of our Constitution. I pledge to abide by the court decision. We prosecuted the case to the best of our ability. We regret that the court disallowed evidence on the grounds that it was either filed late or the court did not have time to inquire into these discrepancies. In the end, Kenyans lost their right to know what indeed happened. Ladies and gentlemen, the court has now spoken. Although we may not agree with some of its findings, and despite all the anomalies we have pointed out, our belief in constitutionalism remains supreme. Casting doubt on the judgment of the court could lead to higher political and economic uncertainty and make it more difficult for our country to move forward. We must soldier on in our resolve to reform our politics and institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my hope that the incoming government will have fidelity to our constitution and implement it to the letter for the betterment of our people. And in this regard, I wish the President-elect, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, and his team well. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is a case of supporting the spirit but not the letter of the African Union AU for Deputy President William Ruto, who has been attending his trial at The Hague for the last several weeks. Ruto is categorical. A deferral of the case is not his preference.
The sooner this is put behind us, the better. And therefore, it would not be necessary for us to pursue the issues of deferral if we can get the issues of excusal sorted out.
What Ruto wants is what he had initially managed to achieve in June this year, when the chamber ruled that he would be excused from attending all court sessions. He was required to be present only for the opening and closing statements of all parties when victims present their views and concerns in person, and the delivery of judgment and sentencing if the case goes that far.
There should be excusal of continuous attendance so that we can balance the scales of our requirement to comply and to work in the interest of justice and accountability by making sure that this case proceeds in court, while at the same time balancing that with the legitimate expectations of the people of Kenya who are entitled to our management of their affairs.
In July, however, the prosecutor appealed that decision, and Ruto was again required to attend all sessions until the appeal is determined. While the African Union has accused the ICC of being an imperialist and racist court meant to humiliate African leaders, Ruto wants his case swiftly concluded in the courtroom.
We do not want to prolong matters in court. We are very clear in our mind that this is an exercise that should be concluded within the shortest time possible.
The African Union directed Kenya to write to the UN Security Council and ask for a deferral, stating that no sitting head of state or a person entitled to act as one should stand trial. The AU also gave the UN until November 10th to decide on the matter. Andrew Ochieng, NTV.
It's my position that anyone who quotes witnesses belongs to the jail and not government officers, and that if there is a strong indication that indeed there are people who are serving in this government who quote witnesses, we are in The Hague and we are saying that every witness who appears on the stand and is lying should be jailed. Why should we be entertaining them to sit in the cozy and comfortable offices, while the president and deputy are suffering because of their schemes. We think that if there's anyone in this country, any person, no matter their position, whether they are small or big, who was involved in coaching witnesses, procuring false witnesses for that purpose, we want to urge the president and the deputy to ensure that they are relieved of their duties immediately, investigation begin, and they are prosecuted because they don't belong to any government office.
Uhuru must go to the International Criminal Court. Uhuru Kenyatta should quit the government. Uhuru Kenyatta should quit the government.